The story opens on the Qingyun continent, at a place known as the Lightning Altar. A terrifying, perpetual storm rages, with bolts of raw energy striking down from the heavens, setting a grim stage for a monumental event. Amidst the chaos, a man with long, flowing silver hair appears, his face partially obscured by the sheer speed of his movement. An ancient weariness is in his voice as he proclaims, "It's been tens of thousands of years. This is Gu Xuanchen. For millennia, he has stood alone, a peerless master trapped by a cruel fate. Now, he stands defiantly atop a colossal stone pillar, facing the heart of the storm, with a hardened gaze. His plan becomes clear. He has willingly drawn the dreaded tribulation cloud to this very spot, intending to harness its devastating lightning strikes to shatter the congenital seal on his dantian that has held him back for so long. He looks up at the swirling vortex of destructive power, a silent challenge in his eyes. This is a desperate, all-or-nothing gamble. Either he breaks through, or he perishes. Drawing his sword, power crackles around him. He lets out a defiant roar, announcing his name and purpose to the heavens themselves. I Chu Xuanchen will finally be able to break through the true Qi realm. But just as he prepares to face his destiny, a desperate cry of "Master!" echoes through the storm. Figures begin to appear in flashes of light, his powerful disciples arriving to intervene. The first to be shown clearly is his third disciple, the Myrtle Empress. She looks on in anguish, admitting that she is too weak to suppress the tribulation any longer, her power failing against the might of the heavens. In a combined plea, two more of his apprentices appear, the elder disciple, the king of the 1,000 demonic cults, and the second disciple, the dragon sword ancestor. They join their voices, imploring their master to see reason and abandon this suicidal plan. The ground itself seems to tremble as the last of the group arrives, the imposing 10th disciple, the unfettered martial emperor. His furious expression makes it clear he shares the same desperate wish as the others, to stop their master at any cost. From his perch, Gu Xuanchen looks down upon his gathered disciples and speaks with an air of finality that cuts through the roaring thunder. That's enough, he commands, silencing their protests. His face is a mask of sorrow and regret as he explains his reasoning. He knows that these prodigies, his greatest students, could have ascended to the saint realm long ago. The only thing keeping them tethered to the mortal plane of the Qingyun continent is their connection to him. But his disciples refuse to accept this. In a unified cry, they declare that without his guidance, they would be nothing. In a final, desperate act of loyalty, they offer to sacrifice their entire life's cultivation to help him unseal his dantian. As their pleas fade, Gu Xuanchen's mind drifts back. He reflects on his long existence, a matchless genius of both the martial and formation Dao. Over tens of thousands of years, he has personally nurtured countless other geniuses, shaping them into legends. But it was all overshadowed by a bitter cosmic joke. An innate, unbreakable seal was placed upon his dantian at birth, and for all his wisdom and talent, his own power remained frustratingly stuck at the basic Qi training realm. Returning to the present, his resolve hardens into steel. This is his only path. With a glint in his eye, he makes his final declaration, a promise to himself and the world. So today, either I break the seal, or I die trying. As if answering his challenge, the tribulation takes form. The storm coalesces into a gargantuan beast of pure lightning, a celestial dragon that roars with the fury of the heavens. Knowing there is no turning back, Gu Xuanchen leaps from the pillar. With a defiant shout of, "Come!" he charges headlong into the sky, meeting the divine punishment head-on. The sheer scale of the confrontation is breathtaking. The tiny, defiant figure of Gu Xuanchen becomes a mere speck as he flies towards the celestial dragon formed from pure lightning, a true embodiment of the heavens' wrath. The lightning dragon opens its colossal maw, an abyss of crackling energy ready to devour him. Yet, even in the face of certain annihilation, Gu Xuanchen does not falter, charging head first into the jaws of the beast as his disciples watch in horror. The beast of pure energy closes its jaws, and Gu Xuanchen is completely swallowed by the boundless, destructive power of the heavenly tribulation. Watching from below, the 10th disciple tries to rally their spirits, insisting that their master will conquer the tribulation. But the terrified face of the Myrtle Empress shows that her hope is already gone. The sheer force of the lightning is so immense that for a split second, all that's visible is a cartoonish skeleton being violently electrocuted, a grim visual of his ongoing destruction. Any trace of hope vanishes. All 4 disciples can only stare in wide-eyed horror, screaming a single, unified word of despair, "Master!" Within the storm, Gu Xuanchen's consciousness begins to fade as his body disintegrates. In his final moments, a single, agonizing thought echoes in his mind. After 10,000 years of hard work, was it all for nothing? As his form shatters into nothingness, he lets out one last, soul-tearing scream of defiance against his fate. I am not willing to accept this. And then, Silence. The scene shifts, and time catapults forward. A title card appears. Stark and cold, 700 years later. The view changes to an ominous estate under a dark, stormy sky. This is the infamous Luo family jail. Deep within its dungeons, a man hangs from a wall, bound by heavy chains. His body is a canvas of scars and fresh wounds, his long white hair matted with blood and grime. The prisoner remains unconscious, his face a mess of bruises. A jailer douses him with a bucket of cold water in a crude attempt to wake him. The water dripping from his battered face. Getting no response, the jailer turns to a woman lounging on a nearby throne. He addresses her as the eldest miss, complaining that the prisoner still won't wake up. She is the eldest miss of the Luo family, a figure of cruel authority who seems to be in charge of this dungeon. The eldest miss looks down with disdainful boredom. "Forget it," she says, her voice dripping with contempt. She's already taken everything the Gu family owned. This last prisoner is merely a loose end. The prisoner's head slumps forward, completely at the mercy of his captors. He is treated not as a person, but as an object to be used and discarded. With a cruel smile, the eldest miss uses her power to forcibly extract the last remnants of the Gu family's legacy from the prisoner's mind, the secret sword arts she coveted. She examines the technique she stole, a glowing scroll of energy, but her expression sours. It's only a useless fragment of a page from the legendary Emperor's book. Infuriated, she points a finger at the still unconscious man. "You really wasted this lady's time acting for so long," she shrieks, her patience completely gone. Having gotten all she could, she turns away and gives a final, chilling order to her subordinate: "Drag him out and feed him to the dogs." Following her command, the prisoner's body is unceremoniously dumped in a desolate wasteland, left among the bones of whatever else the dogs have been fed. But as the body lies still under the cold sky, a brilliant column of golden light descends from the heavens, striking the prisoner directly in the forehead. A soul, lost for centuries, has finally found its vessel. His eyes snap open. They are no longer dull and lifeless, but sharp and glowing with an ancient, terrifying awareness. After 700 years of darkness, the soul of Gu Xuanchen awakens once more. A torrent of memories, both new and ancient, crash into his consciousness. He understands now. His desperate gamble during the tribulation worked, preserving a wisp of his soul. After drifting for 7 centuries, it has finally awakened, bringing the memories of his past life flooding back into this new one. As the memories of his new host flood in, Gu Xuanchen begins to inspect the state of his new body, taking stock of the damage and the grim circumstances he has awoken to. But amidst the pain and betrayal, he discovers something incredible. A wide, manic grin spreads across his face as he realizes the cosmic irony. The innate seal that had tormented him for tens of thousands of years is finally gone. As he slowly gets to his feet, the sordid history of this body becomes clear. The once mighty Gu family had fallen, and the far more powerful Luo family coveted their secret sword arts. He understands the depth of the betrayal. To save their own skins, his own clan, the Gu family used him as a sacrificial pawn. They married him off to the Luo family, trading their sacred sword art for their own safety. The memory of the final betrayal hits him like a physical blow. On his wedding night, his new wife, Luo Shengshui, ripped the sword art from him. Her goal achieved, she then screamed, "Go die," as she shattered his dantian, crippling his cultivation entirely. And as if that wasn't enough, she then had him locked away in this dungeon, to be subjected to daily torture, left to rot in chains. Back in the present, a chillingly calm expression settles on Gu Xuanchen's face. He whispers the names of those who wronged him, his voice laced with a cold promise of retribution. Gu family, Luo family. A sinister smile touches his lips, and his eyes flash with terrifying, golden light. A master of countless millennia, now unbound and armed with a desire for vengeance, makes a vow. "Allow me to play with you then." The scene opens in the main hall of the Gu family, where the atmosphere is heavy with tension. Several guards lie defeated on the floor, while a young woman kneels helplessly in the center of the room. The kneeling woman, Gu Yuhan, desperately shouts her refusal to marry. However, another voice sternly rebukes her, questioning how she can be so pushy when the esteemed young Master Ling has personally come for her. Identified as Gu Xuanchen's sister, Gu Yuhan remains on her knees, her posture conveying a mix of defiance and despair in the face of her family's demands. Looking down from his elevated seat is the Gu family elder, Gu Heibo. He coldly informs Gu Yuhan that the family elders have already agreed to the marriage, sealing her fate. Hearing the finality in his words, all hope leaves Gu Yuan's face. Tears stream down her cheeks as she is overcome by utter despair. The architect of this forced marriage makes his appearance. The young master of the Ling family, a vulgar man named Lin Tian, gloats that he isn't here to ask for permission, as there's no one in the Gu family strong enough to stop him. He looks down at the crying Gu Yuhan with a lecherous gaze. Calling her a bitch, with a disgusting smirk, Lin Qian licks his lips, promising in a sing-song voice that from now on, he will take very good care of her. Done with the pleasantries, Lin Qian bellows an order to take her away. Two of his subordinates move in, grabbing a terrified Gu Yuhan who screams and tries to resist. Just as they are about to drag her off, a brilliant flash of golden light erupts in the hall. Lin Qian's men are stopped in their tracks, their faces frozen in shock before they are violently thrown backward by a small, incredibly fast-moving object. The sudden and powerful intervention leaves the elder, Gu Heibo, completely stunned. His face is a mask of shock and disbelief as he stares into the shadows from where the attack originated. As one of the elders demands to know who is there, a hand calmly catches the small object that had been thrown with such force. From the shadows, a man with long silver hair appears. With a cold and challenging tone, he asks, "Who dares to say my Gu family has no one?" The onlookers are stunned into silence, shocked by the sudden appearance of this mysterious and powerful figure. Stepping out from the entrance, framed by the full moon, is Gu Xuanchen. He has returned, exuding an aura of immense power and confidence. Overcome with relief and joy, Gu Yuhan recognizes her savior and cries out, "Brother!" She rushes into his arms, finally safe. Gu Xuanchen holds his sister gently and reassures her with a calm smile. "I'm back," he says softly, "leave the rest to me." Ling Qian, recovering from his surprise, recognizes the newcomer. He scoffs, mocking Gu Xuanchen for being so eager to die after only being locked away in the dungeon for 2 years. Brandishing his sword, Ling Qian continues his vile taunts. He declares that he will force Gu Xuanchen to kneel and watch as he violates his own sister in the bridal chamber. With a grotesque and eager expression, Ling Qian drools, adding that the experience will be far more enjoyable with his future brother-in-law as an audience. Before Ling Qian can act, Gu Xuanchen moves with blinding speed. In an instant, his hand flashes out and intercepts the blade, leaving a stunned Ling Qian to look down at his empty hand and wonder where his sword went. In a stunning reversal, Gu Xuanchen now holds Ling Qian's own sword to his throat. The once arrogant young master is now frozen in terror. The cold steel presses against Ling Qian's skin, his face contorting in fear. A swift blow from Gu Xuanchen leaves him bruised and utterly defeated. With a contemptuous kick, Gu Xuanchen sends the whimpering Lin Qian flying across the hall. He then stands protectively before his sister, his gaze fixed on the pathetic heap of the man who threatened her. Enraged by this turn of events, the elder Gu Heibo rises from his seat and screams at Gu Xuanchen, questioning if he has gone crazy for daring to attack a member of the Ling family. Gu Xuanchen slowly turns to face the furious elder. Gu Heibo points an accusing finger, shouting at him for trying to bring ruin upon the entire Gu family. Gu Xuanchen's eyes narrow with cold fury. He retorts, questioning how he could possibly ruin a family that is already filled with trash who act like wolves against their own, but wag their tails for outsiders. He asks what more there is to ruin when the family's elders have already been forced to beg for mercy from a worthless heir like Ling Qian. Struck speechless by the truth in Gu Xuanchen's words, Gu Heibo can only sweat and tremble with rage, his mind defiantly thinking that it is Gu Xuanchen who is the one truly ruining the family. The third elder of the Gu family, looking dismayed, admits to his followers that their response to Gu Xuanchen's defiance has been utterly pathetic. His shame quickly turns to rage. The third elder draws his sword, shouting that he will destroy that rebellious animal Gu Xuanchen and force him to apologize to young Master Ling. The elder unleashes his ultimate move, the Heavenly Retribution Sword Technique, sending a massive wave of blue energy hurtling towards Gu Xuanchen. Gu Xuanchen faces the attack head-on, his expression calm and his sharp eyes gleaming with confidence as he prepares to counter. A brilliant flash of golden light erupts as Gu Xuanchen's own sword technique effortlessly clashes with and begins to overpower the elder's blue energy wave. Caught in the blinding golden light, the third elder's face contorts in disbelief, shocked by the sheer power and familiarity of the technique Gu Xuanchen is using. Looking down on his defeated opponent, Gu Xuanchen speaks with cold finality, declaring that the old man's life has reached its end. With killing intent blazing in his eyes, Gu Xuanchen roars that it's time for the elder to go down for good. Gu Xuanchen lunges forward, his body a blur as he channels his power into a decisive, overwhelming strike aimed at the stunned elder. The impact of the blow is immense. The third elder is sent flying backwards, his robes tearing as blood erupts from the wound, signaling his utter defeat. With a final, brutal slash, Gu Xuanchen's sword cuts deep into the third elder, who can only let out a choked cry as his life fades. As the third elder's body falls, Gu Xuanchen stands victoriously over him, sword held high. His sister, Gu Yian, watches from behind as the other clan members cry out in disbelief. wondering how someone supposedly without cultivation could kill a powerful elder. Amidst the chaos, an opportunistic elder named Gu Haifei points out to the others that Gu Xuanchen just used the legendary emperor's scripture, a technique thought to be lost. Gu Haifei recalls the definition of an emperor's scripture, a supreme-level technique created from a warrior's complete comprehension of martial arts, powerful enough to suppress all enemies. Gu Xuanchen explains to the stunned crowd that the so-called ultimate technique of the Gu family is nothing but a small, decayed fragment of a true emperor's scripture, left behind by a genius known as Qin Tian, the sky-propelling sword emperor. The onlookers are stunned by this revelation. As they process the information, Gu Xuanchen gently comforts his trembling sister, Gu Yian, telling her not to worry. Internally, Gu Xuanchen pieces it all together. The technique felt familiar because it was, in fact, created by his own disciple from centuries ago, Shaoshan. A faint smile crosses his lips as he muses that even after 700 years, the legacy of his disciples is everywhere. He wonders, however, why their descendants have fallen so far that only broken pieces of the technique remain. Gu Xuanchen reflects on his situation. As a reincarnated master, he holds countless emperor's scriptures in his mind. However, he recognizes a critical problem: the physical strength of his current body is severely lacking, making it difficult to sustain these powerful techniques. His eyes narrow with grim determination, knowing the heavy toll the fight has taken on his weak body. Gu Xuanchen realizes he must consolidate his newfound authority and end the confrontation immediately, before his weakness is exposed. Seizing the opportunity, the cunning elder Gu Haifei shouts at the stunned family members, declaring that since Gu Xuanchen has mastered the true family sword technique, there can be no other master of the family but him. Following Gu Haifei's lead, the clan members begin to drop to their knees in front of Gu Xuanchen. In a wave of submission, the entire Gu family kneels and bows, their voices echoing in the hall as they shout in unison, "Welcome back, family head." Gu Xuanchen smirks, satisfied. He acknowledges their quick thinking, noting that their ability to read the situation has saved him the effort of forcing them into submission. Later that night, under the cover of darkness, the elders gather secretly, questioning whether they truly have to accept Gu Xuanchen as their new leader. One of the members voices their primary concern: Gu Xuanchen's actions have now made enemies of two powerful major families, the Luo and the Ling. Gu Haifei explains his shrewd plan. By making Gu Xuanchen the official leader, he will be forced to bear the brunt of any conflicts. If he miraculously succeeds, they will all share in the glory. With a sinister glint in his eye, he reveals the treacherous flip side of his plan. If Gu Xuanchen fails, it would be all too easy for them to simply hand him over to their enemies. The other elders praise Gu Haifei, agreeing that his plan is indeed wise and covers all possibilities. The scene shifts to a quiet courtyard, away from the scheming elders. Gu Xuanchen and his sister Gu Yian stand together under the light of the full moon, sharing a peaceful moment. Looking at her brother with adoration, Gu Yian says that he was amazing. She expresses her relief and hope that if things continue like this, the two of them will never have to worry about being bullied again. But the moment of peace is shattered when Gu Xuanchen suddenly doubles over, coughing violently and spitting blood into his hand. Horrified, Gu Yian can only scream her brother's name as she sees the proof of his hidden weakness. From outside the room, a worried voice can be heard, belonging to his sister, Gu Yian, who is concerned about his condition after the previous battle. Inside, Gu Yian tends to the weakened Gu Xuanchen, knowing that their enemies are still watching. He warns her to keep her voice down to avoid attracting more trouble. Wiping blood from his lips, Gu Xuanchen curses his current state. He internally monologues about how this slag-like physique is already exhausted from a single sword move, realizing that upgrading it is his top priority. With his vast knowledge from a past life, Gu Xuanchen begins to plan his path to recovery. He recalls the fundamentals of martial arts. First, one must quench the body and practice true qi, then guide spiritual power to enter the spirit stage. His thoughts delve deeper into the cultivation hierarchy. He knows that above the spirit stage are the heaven stage, void stage, 10,000 law stage, and finally, the Emperor stage, each with its own early, middle, and peak phases. He remembers the ultimate goal: if one shatters the Emperor realm, they can ascend into the hallowed sacred domain. This knowledge fuels his determination. A bitter memory surfaces. For tens of thousands of years in his previous life, a congenital seal had prevented him from absorbing spiritual energy, halting his progress. But now, after his rebirth, he is filled with resolve. He vows to climb to the absolute peak once more and erase all the regrets of his past life. With his mind set, Gu Xuanchen prepares to act. His first priority is clear. He must temper this fragile body and improve his cultivation to protect what's important. Sensing his determination, Gu Yian offers words of support. She encourages him to calm his breath and start his practice. vowing that she will stand guard and let no one disturb him. Gu Xuanchen looks on as his sister, Gu Yian, stands up with a determined expression, with newfound resolve in her eyes. She addresses him directly, her voice filled with conviction. She makes a solemn vow, declaring that she will never let anyone bother him again. As she speaks, Gu Xuanchen watches her, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. However, his master-level perception picks up on something amiss. He thinks to himself, questioning the true meaning behind her desperate resolve. His gaze sharpens, and he spots a gleaming dagger hidden behind her back. In that instant, he understands her tragic plan. If he hadn't regained consciousness, she was fully prepared to take her own life. A cold fury ignites within him. He realizes the Ling and Luo families are the ones who forced his sister into this desperate corner. With chilling certainty, he marks them as the first targets for his wrath. Wasting no time, Gu Xuanchen sits down in a meditative posture. He knows he must choose a powerful emperor scripture as his foundation. Only by upgrading his strength quickly can he truly protect himself and his sister. He forms a hand seal, his expression intensely focused. The time for planning is over. Now is the time to act and reclaim his power. As he channels his energy, countless ancient scriptures from his memory flash around him. He acknowledges that while he was at the refining stage in his previous life, this new body is far too weak for advanced techniques. He must first focus on strengthening his physique. From the myriad of ultimate techniques in his mind, he makes a strategic choice. To build his foundation, he unleashes the Xiaoyao technique, a powerful cultivation method that begins to flood the room with brilliant golden light. Gu Xuanchen confirms his strategy, deciding to use the Xiaoyao technique as the foundation for his cultivation for the time being. He immediately puts his plan into action. As he sits in a meditative stance, a tremendous amount of golden energy erupts from his body, signifying the start of the technique. With a powerful roar, Gu Xuanchen fully embraces the surge of energy. His entire being is illuminated, and his eyes glow with immense power as the technique takes hold. The sheer force of his cultivation is so immense that it blows the roof clean off the building, sending a massive pillar of golden light shooting up into the night sky. Standing outside, Gu Yian stares in stunned silence at the heavenly phenomenon. She realizes with disbelief that her brother is not just cultivating, but breaking through into the spirit stage. At the center of the storm of power, Gu Xuanchen laughs maniacally. After countless lifetimes of being sealed, he can finally feel spiritual energy entering his body, and the sensation is euphoric. Meanwhile, the shockwaves from his breakthrough travel far and wide, reaching the distant, hallowed grounds of the legendary Xiaoyao sect. Inside one of the sect's buildings, a sacred broom, an artifact left by the sect's founder, suddenly begins to tremble and move on its own. An elder and his disciples look on in utter shock. The elder stammers, his voice trembling, as he points out that the ancestor's sacred relic is moving on its own, an event that hasn't occurred in living memory. The commotion intensifies as a luminous spiritual projection of the ancestor materializes, pointing resolutely westward. As the disciples cry out that the spirit has appeared, the powerful figure of the sect leader arrives, his gaze fixed on the unfolding miracle. The man, identified as the Xiaoyao sect patriarch, Hu Haiquan, stares with wide eyes, stammering in astonishment as he realizes he is witnessing the legendary ancestor's guide. He can scarcely believe it. The sect's founder, Emperor Xiaoyao, ascended to the sacred domain 100,000 years ago and never sent a message back. Not even when the sect faced extinction. Hu Haiquan wonders what kind of heaven-defying genius could possibly attract his attention now. An elder beside him offers a theory, mentioning a rumor that a disciple named Luo Shengshui just broke through to the little spirit realm at the young age of 18. He speculates that perhaps this heavenly genius is the one the ancestor is pointing towards. Not willing to leave anything to chance, Patriarch Hu Haiquan issues an urgent command. He orders his disciples to immediately find this rumored genius, Miss Luo, and bring her back to the sect. The disciples acknowledge the order and rush to carry it out, setting a new course for the sect's future. The scene opens in a quiet, traditional room where a fine porcelain tea set rests on a wooden table, suggesting a moment of calm. Gu Xuanchen, the patriarch, looks exasperated. He turns to his sister and says, "Yuhan, can you please stop looking at me like that?" With tears of joy in her eyes, his sister, Gu Yuhan, replies, "But I can't help it. I'm just so happy that my brother has finally broken through to the little spirit realm." Gu Xuanchen reflects on his past life, where he was solely focused on cultivation and never dealt with personal relationships. Now, having a sister who cares so deeply for him feels troublesome. Suddenly, their conversation is interrupted by a voice from outside. A subordinate calls out urgently, "Patriarch, we have important matters to discuss." Turning his attention to the pressing issue, Gu Xuanchen tells his sister, "Yuhan, you should go first." She obediently agrees and departs. A group of subordinates kneels before him, The one in front reports that Miss Luo was taken away by Elder Mo He of the Xiaoyao sect, who then placed a Xiaoyao order on the Luo family's home as a sign of their protection. Gu Xuanchen smirks, completely unfazed by the news. That old fox moves quickly, he muses to himself, before telling his men to rise. The subordinate, growing more desperate, presses the point. Patriarch, the issue isn't that Miss Luo is gone. It's the Xiaoyao order. It's a symbol of absolute asylum. From now on, even the royal family must salute before entering Luo territory. Despite the man's panicked explanation of this immense political shield, Gu Xuanchen remains utterly unmoved. He casually brings the teacup to his lips and asks a simple, devastating question. So what? One of the subordinates, unable to grasp the situation, panics. He reminds the patriarch that having offended the Ling family, their only hope for protection was the Luo family, a hope that is now gone. As he sips his tea, Gu Xuanchen's eyes flash with a cold, golden light. His patience is clearly wearing thin. Growing bolder, the insubordinate man shouts that the family is now helpless and demands that the patriarch hand over the ancient sword technique to repair their relationship with the Luo family. Before the man can finish his treasonous demand, Gu Xuanchen hurls his teacup with incredible force, shattering it against the subordinate's face. The sheer impact sends the man sprawling to the floor, his face contorted in shock and pain. A terrifying aura now radiates from Gu Xuanchen as he sits up, his eyes glowing intensely. When, he asks with chilling calm, did it become your turn to make decisions for me? The other members, including the elder Gu Heibo, stare in disbelief. They can feel his power and are shocked to realize he has already reached the mid-little spirit realm. Gu Xuanchen coldly addresses the man on the floor, declaring that the Luo family will be destroyed soon enough. He then offers a choice to all present. If anyone is afraid of being implicated, they are free to leave the Gu family. Watching from the crowd, the elder Gu Heibo fumes internally. His plan was to push Gu Xuanchen into a suicidal conflict with the Luo family so he could take over. But seeing that the boy broke through to the middle stage in a single day, he realizes his ambition is now at risk. Deciding he must seize the opportunity now, Gu Heibo draws his sword, launching his coup. The old man has just made a breakthrough recently, he announces, issuing a direct challenge. I ask the patriarch to enlighten me. With his men at the ready, Gu Heibo reveals his treacherous plan: capture Gu Xuanchen and use him to gain favor with the Luo family, all while seizing control for himself. He foolishly believes the patriarch is still weak and injured. Stepping forward, Gu Heibo arrogantly shouts his demand: for the future of the Gu family, I advise you to surrender now. However, Gu Xuanchen remains completely unfazed. With a confident smirk, he beckons them forward. Let's go together, I'm in a hurry. Gu Xuanchen's casual dismissal leaves Gu Heibo's followers stunned and hesitant, their initial confidence wavering in the face of his unshakable calm. Trying to bolster his men's morale, Gu Heibo scoffs. A bunch of idiots. So what if he understands sword art? He doesn't even have a sword. He's useless. In response to their mockery, Gu Xuanchen simply offers a faint, knowing smile. In an explosive display of power, a brilliant golden aura erupts around him, materializing dozens of glowing energy swords that hum in the air. I think they're smarter than you, he taunts. Gu Heibo and his co-conspirators can only stare in abject terror, their arrogance instantly replaced by fear. The elder stammers, recognizing the immense pressure. This, sword intent. Looking down on the terrified rebels, Gu Xuanchen scoffs. A group of ants. How dare you underestimate the power of the Emperor Sutra? A single eye, wide with the reflection of the golden swords, captures the rebels' dawning horror. There is no time to regret. There is only the silent, chilling certainty of imminent doom. With a single gesture, Gu Xuanchen unleashes his attack. The golden swords of light descend upon the rebels, shattering their blades and overwhelming them with a force they could never hope to withstand. The sheer power of the blast sends the entire group of conspirators flying out of the main hall, their bodies crashing hard into the courtyard outside. In the aftermath, their swords clatter to the ground. The rebels lie wounded and disarmed, their rebellion crushed in a single, decisive moment. Gu Xuanchen stands calmly, the last wisp of golden energy fading from his hand. The coup is over. He has effortlessly asserted his absolute authority as the true patriarch of the Gu family. Following Gu Xuanchen's overwhelming display of power, he lands firmly on the ground, the impact echoing his newfound authority over the Gu family. The courtyard is littered with the bodies of the rebellious clan members, all defeated in an instant. In the center of the carnage, Gu Xuanchen stands alone, untouched and dominant. A smug smile crosses Gu Xuanchen's face as he feels the immense spiritual power coursing through him. He remarks to himself, spiritual power, that's great. Addressing the terrified survivors, he gives a cold command: clean up the corpses. I will spare you all. The remaining clan members immediately kneel in submission. acknowledging him as the new patriarch. The camera pans down to one of the fallen rebels, a stark reminder of the price of betrayal against the new head of the family. Suddenly, the clan members are startled by the arrival of a new figure. They cry out, "Missy!" as Gu Xuanshen's sister, Yuhan, appears on the scene. An elder steps forward, offering to take care of the filthy matters for her. But Yuhan silences him, revealing a hidden dagger as she intends to handle the situation personally. Without a moment's hesitation, she swiftly plunges the dagger into a surviving rebel, the inverted colors highlighting the cold, precise nature of the kill. A spray of blood erupts as Yuhan ruthlessly eliminates the remaining threats. Her expression is fierce and determined, demonstrating a brutality that shocks everyone present. With the bloody deed done, she turns to the horrified onlookers to deliver a chilling warning: "My brother is kind. But I am not so kind. In the future, if anyone dares to be unfaithful to my brother again." With a cold, resolute gaze, Yuhan holds the bloodied dagger forward, declaring the grim resolution of her actions. This is the end. Her ruthlessness sends a wave of terror through the remaining clan members. They scramble to swear their undying allegiance, thinking to themselves how the new miss is somehow even more terrifying than the already fearsome patriarch. After solidifying her fearsome reputation, Yuhan turns to give one final, crucial instruction to the clan members. She puts on a gentle smile, a stark contrast to her previous actions, and says, "I don't want my brother to know what happened just now." She is determined to handle the family's dark affairs to protect her brother's peace of mind. The scene transitions, showing a peaceful view of the Gu family estate as birds fly across the sky. A quiet moment after the storm of violence, Yuhan retreats to a private room, the heavy doors closing behind her, finally allowing her a moment of solitude away from prying eyes. The moment she is alone, her strong facade crumbles. Yuhan collapses weakly to the ground, her body trembling now that the adrenaline has faded. She covers her mouth, desperately trying to stifle her sobs, the weight of her actions and the fear she had suppressed finally catching up to her. Tears stream down her face as she tells herself to be strong. She resolves to manage the clan so her brother can focus on his own goals. Determined to never let anyone disturb him again, it is her silent burden to bear. Meanwhile, having settled the family's internal affairs, Gu Xuanshen makes his way towards a grand and imposing structure, the renowned Pill Pavilion. His next objective, the camera focuses on the large sign hanging above the entrance. Its elegant calligraphy reading, Pill Pavilion. Gu Xuanshen sizes up the building. He knows the Pill Pavilion is more than just a shop. It is one of the most important intelligence bases on the Qinyun continent. A massive organization composed of countless top-level alchemists with branches in every corner of the land. As he approaches, a female attendant with a welcoming smile greets him, asking, "Young master, may I help you?" With a confident smirk, Gu Xuanshen holds up a small, folded paper. "I'm going to sell a pill recipe," he declares. He knows that to improve his strength quickly, alchemy is the fastest way, and the Pill Pavilion is the best place to start. Intrigued, the attendant politely invites him in, leading him through the main doors of the grand establishment. As soon as he steps inside, Gu Xuanshen's presence causes a stir, drawing the immediate attention of the other patrons. The crowd begins to whisper amongst themselves, recognizing him. "Isn't this Gu Xuanshen? Why is he here?" someone asks. While others gossip about his recently broken engagement, the commotion reaches the ears of a powerful-looking woman sitting at a nearby desk. While the crowd mocks Gu Xuanshen as trash, the woman, the genius alchemist and manager of this branch, King Yue, looks up and asks what the matter is. Ignoring the gossip, Gu Xuanshen walks directly up to the pavilion manager, King Yue. He places his recipe on her desk and says, "Miss Qingyu, please estimate the price," setting the stage for a tense confrontation. At the Pill Pavilion, Lu Mengshui, the city's foremost alchemy genius, scoffs at a recipe presented by Gu Xuanshen. She questions its legitimacy, having never even heard of the herbs it lists. Meanwhile, onlookers whisper, mocking Gu Xuanshen as a good-for-nothing who was just kicked out of his own home and is now trying to swindle them. As Gu Xuanshen walks away, the crowd continues to gossip, their hushed tones and smug expressions showing their disdain for him and their amusement at the confrontation. Gu Xuanshen turns back with a smirk, completely unfazed. He coolly retorts that her inability to recognize a low-level pill recipe only proves her ignorance, suggesting her title as the city's top genius is nothing but an empty boast. Infuriated by his insult, Lu Mengshui slams her hand on the table, her pride wounded. She challenges him to a high-stakes duel known as pill gambling, where the winner gets to decide the loser's fate. Gu Xuanshen readily accepts the challenge with a confident smile. This is exactly the opportunity he was looking for. He had been wondering where he could refine a pill, and the impulsive Lu Mengshui has just handed him the perfect chance on a silver platter. Lu Mengshui leads him to the pavilion's alchemy room, boasting of its top-notch cauldron and earth fire. She sets the terms of their duel. They each have half an hour to refine a second-rank breaking spirit pill, with the winner being decided by the pill's quality. This is a stroke of luck for Gu Xuanchen. The second-rank breaking spirit pill is precisely what he needs to break through from the little spirit realm to the sky spirit realm. The duel has provided him with the perfect means to advance his own power. As he prepares to begin, Gu Xuanchen assesses the room's earth fire. While it's difficult for ordinary alchemists, for him, the conditions are perfect. He thinks to himself that this will require no effort at all. With a shout, Gu Xuanchen activates his superior fire control technique. A brilliant flame ignites at his fingertip as he prepares to begin the duel. He thrusts his hand forward, sending the powerful flame into the heart of the alchemy cauldron and officially kicking off the high-stakes duel. At the same time, Lu Mengshui begins her own process, confidently channeling fire into her cauldron using her standard fire control art. Gu Xuanchen, however, looks on with a knowing smirk. He notes to himself that the pavilion's ambient earth fire is disappointingly weak. He then calmly raises his hand, preparing to unleash the true depth of his ancient knowledge. Suddenly, a massive vortex of purple energy erupts around him. His superior technique isn't just using the earth fire, it's actively pulling all the available energy from the room and channeling it directly into his own cauldron. As the raging torrent of energy stabilizes around him, Gu Xuanchen looks satisfied. He has gathered more than enough power for his refinement, leaving almost none for his rival. Lu Mengshui, focused on her own alchemy, suddenly feels the shift in energy. A flicker of confusion crosses her face as she senses that something is deeply wrong. She looks over at her cauldron and notices the flame has dwindled to a weak flicker. Completely unaware of Gu Xuanchen's actions, she wonders aloud why the earth fire has suddenly become so weak. Without a stable source of heat, her refinement process spirals out of control. The cauldron begins to shake violently before erupting in a massive explosion that tears through the room, sending debris flying and onlookers scattering in panic. Lu Mengshui stares blankly, her expression frozen in disbelief as she watches the violent explosion unfold before her very eyes. Coughing in the thick smoke, surrounded by the smoldering ruins of her workstation, the stunned Lu Mengshui can only ask the empty, chaotic room, what happened? Just then, an elderly man rushes into the destroyed room, crying out in despair. Lu Mengshui recognizes him instantly. It's her master, Tao Hai, the master of the Pill Pavilion. Tao Hai is devastated. He laments the loss of his precious fourth-grade medicinal materials, including the Skystar branch and Frostless Leaf, which he spent a fortune to acquire. He, too, is baffled as to why the earth fire suddenly weakened. Hearing those names, Lu Mengshui has a sudden realization. She recalls the strange ingredients from Gu Xuanchen's recipe, connecting them to the rare materials her master just named, and begins to question if such a potent combination is even possible. Tao Hai turns on her, his grief turning to anger. He confirms that those are indeed fourth-rank herbs and furiously asks where a mere second-level alchemist like her would even encounter such things, let alone handle them. His expression shifts as a shocking possibility dawns on him. He asks her if she found an ancient pill formula, realizing that the combination of herbs she described could only be for a fourth-rank, high-level pill. Lu Mengshui is left speechless. The recipe she had mocked and thrown away was actually for a legendary fourth-rank pill, a treasure far beyond her comprehension. Tao Hai begins to scold his apprentice, reminding her of his past warnings. He berates her for being too competitive and relying on her title as a genius, telling her there is always a sky beyond the sky. But Lu Mengshui's pride is unyielding. She retorts that it doesn't matter, claiming Gu Xuanchen is just a good-for-nothing who got lucky finding the formula. She insists that when it comes to actual refining skill, she would undoubtedly defeat him. Driven by pure, wounded pride, Lu Mengshui kneels amidst the rubble. Even with her cauldron destroyed and her ingredients lost, she is determined to prove her own skill is superior. In a final, desperate bid to salvage her honor, she shouts, "Fire control art, get up!" Ignoring the reality of her defeat, she attempts to conjure a flame from nothing, trying to force a victory through sheer willpower alone, but her efforts are useless. The fire she summons is weak and flickers out, a stark reminder of her earlier failure. With her master Tao Hai looking on at the pathetic display, the chapter ends on her humiliation, her own confused words echoing in the destroyed room. The so-called genius alchemist of Anyang City, utterly defeated, was left with only one question: what just happened? In the Pill Pavilion, an alchemist stumbles out of his room, lamenting his failure. He explains that he couldn't control the earth fire, which caused his pill furnace to burst. From another room, a voice calls out, confirming that he isn't the only one. It seems this is a widespread problem. Indeed, another alchemist exclaims in shock that all the rooms that release the earth fire are experiencing the same catastrophic failures. Suddenly, a massive explosion of violet energy erupts from one of the alchemy chambers. Far more powerful than any of the previous furnace bursts, sending other alchemists flying. The sheer force of the blast gets the attention of the Pill Pavilion's master, Tao Hai, and his disciple, King Yue. She looks on in shock, wondering what's going on. However, the experienced Tao Hai notices something unusual about the violet energy. He points it out to his disciple, calling her by her nickname, Yue. King Yue stares with wide-eyed disbelief. She realizes this immense power is not a random explosion but someone's earth fire. As the violet energy swirls with terrifying intensity, she can't help but wonder how anyone's earth fire could possibly be this strong. Tao Hai provides the astonishing answer. It wasn't that the earth fire in the other rooms was exhausted, rather, one person had concentrated all of it into his own chamber with an unbelievably precise fire control technique. He explains that this level of alchemy is beyond mere skill. As if on cue, the dust settles, and Gu Xuanchen emerges calmly from the chamber, the source of all the commotion. He stands before the stunned Tao Hai and King Yue, and with an air of absolute authority, addresses her by her full name. Gu Xuanchen casually holds up the pill he has just refined. He looks at the humiliated King Yue and tells her that as per their bet, her life now belongs to him. He then tosses the pill into the air, letting it fall towards Tao Hai and King Yue as he descends. He declares that her life doesn't belong to her anymore. As the pill floats down, King Yue asks her master in disbelief if it's the legendary two-pattern spirit pill. Tao Hai confirms her suspicion, explaining its immense value, a second-rank pill refined to a level that surpasses even a third-rank pill. He stares in awe, admitting it's the first time he has ever seen one and is amazed that someone could refine it so easily. Gu Xuanchen lands gracefully amidst the rubble. He condescendingly praises Tao Hai, remarking that for an old man, he is quite knowledgeable. Utterly defeated and humiliated, the proud King Yue pulls out a dagger. She shouts that she is not afraid to die and, having lost the wager, demands that Gu Xuanchen take her life. Her master, Tao Hai, cries out in alarm, telling her to stop as he rushes to intervene. With a swift movement, Tao Hai uses his own energy to strike King Yue's wrist, sending the dagger flying from her hand before she can harm herself. Having stopped his disciple, Tao Hai turns to Gu Xuanchen and bows deeply. He humbly introduces himself as the master of the Pill Pavilion and apologizes for his and King Yue's ignorance. In the background, King Yue protests, telling her master not to bow to him. Furious at her defiance, Tao Hai slaps King Yue across the face, shouting at her to shut up. Gu Xuanchen, however, ignores the apology. He recognizes the technique Tao Hai used to disarm King Yue and asks a startling question. He wants to know Tao Hai's relationship with a man named Tao Yun. Tao Hai is stunned. He reveals that Tao Yun is his ancestor, and internally panics, wondering how this young man could possibly know his ancestor and dare to call him by his first name. Gu Xuanchen bluntly criticizes him, pointing out that Tao Yun was a 9th-rank alchemist, so it's pathetic that his descendant is only a 3rd-rank alchemist in his 40s. The words feel like 1,000 arrows piercing Tao Hai's heart. Deeply ashamed, Tao Hai confesses the truth. The mysterious heaven fire control art, left by his ancestor, has long been incomplete. As a direct descendant, he has only managed to learn a superficial amount, a fact that brings him great shame. Gu Xuanchen's expression softens slightly. He reveals that he once owed a favor to Tao Hai's ancestor, and he intends to settle that debt today. Before Tao Hai can react, Gu Xuanchen declares, "Return it to you," and presses 2 fingers against the old man's forehead. Tao Hai's eyes widen in absolute shock as he begins to process the impossible implication that this young man somehow knew his ancestor. A brilliant golden light erupts from Tao Hai's body as Gu Xuanchen transfers a massive amount of information directly into his mind. "This is," Tao Hai mutters, overwhelmed, struggling to comprehend what is happening. Tao Hai recognizes the legendary technique being used on him, whispering the words, "mind transmission." As the golden energy swirls around him, the full weight of the gift becomes clear. Tao Hai realizes with utter shock that he is receiving the complete, unadulterated, mysterious heaven fire control art, straight from the source. Overcome with gratitude, Tao Hai bows deeply, thanking young Master Gu. His mind reels with the implications of this act. Mind transmission, he thinks. To do this, he must be at least a 5th-level spiritual alchemist. The realization of Gu Xuanchen's true power is far beyond anything he could have imagined. As Tao Hai continues to process the incredible gift, he can only think to himself that the secretive young Master Gu is no mere genius, he is a true, unfathomable master. While Tao Hai absorbs the ancient knowledge, Gu Xuanchen is lost in a memory from his past life. Recalling the reason he owed a debt to the Tao family, he remembers a time when he was weak, merely at the qi refining realm, though they had never met. Tao Yun stood up for him when others mocked him and called him trash. In the memory, Tao Yun angrily chastised the bullies, calling them a bunch of scum who only dared to talk behind people's backs. Defending the honor of a stranger out of pure principle, Gu Xuanchen's monologue concludes, explaining that as a reward for that kindness, he taught Tao Yun the fire control art. He never expected that the descendants of such a righteous man would fall so far. The chapter ends with an image of the present-day Gu Xuanchen, his memory of teaching Tao Yun in the past overlapping with the present. Having now repaid the ancient favor to the old man's descendant, Gu Xuanchen looks down, his golden eyes cold and sharp. After dealing with the others, he turns his attention to the arrogant young alchemist. Despite being completely overpowered, the girl shows no fear. She glares up at Gu Xuanchen defiantly, yelling that he might as well kill her. But Gu Xuanchen doesn't intend to kill her. Instead, he gives her a sharp slap across the face, shouting at her to wake up from her delusion. The girl is utterly stunned, holding her cheek in disbelief. She can't believe he dared to hit her. Gu Xuanchen simply retorts, "Why not?" He then begins to lecture her, telling her that just because her master pampers her, doesn't mean the rest of the world will. He points out that she's merely a second-level alchemist in her 20s and that without her connections, she would be nothing. Just then, an old man, the girl's master, rushes in and thanks young Master Gu for his leniency. The girl looks on in shock. Gu Xuanchen dismisses it, saying he won't fuss over a mere child. Suddenly, the sky erupts with brilliant fireworks. Even though it's broad daylight, the sound echoes through the area. Gu Xuanchen immediately recognizes the signal. It's the Gu family's urgent arrow, a distress call used only when the clan faces the threat of annihilation. Summoning all members back at once, his expression hardens. The casual demeanor is gone, replaced by sharp concern. The urgent arrow means his family is in mortal danger, and he needs to get there immediately, and he's right to worry. At that very moment, the Gu family's ancestral home is under attack. The grand estate stands under a dark, foreboding sky, already the scene of a brutal invasion. Inside, the members of the rival Ling family are interrogating the captured Gu clansman, demanding to know Gu Xuanchen's whereabouts. The captive pleads, insisting he truly doesn't know, but his pleas fall on deaf ears. He and the other captured Gu family members are bound and bloodied, awaiting their fate. A soldier reports to his leader that none of the captives are willing to speak. The leader, a cruel-looking man with a red beard, is revealed to be the patriarch of the Ling family, Ling Shaoshan. He coldly orders his men to kill the captives one by one until someone talks. He then turns his attention to his main captive, Gu Xuanchen's sister, Gu Yuhan, with a blade to her throat. He tells her he isn't going to kill her. Instead, he reveals a fate worse than death. He taunts her, saying his son, Ba has taken a liking to her. With a sadistic grin, Ling Shaoshan declares that she will marry his son, a plan designed to inflict the ultimate humiliation on the Gu family. But just as he gloats, a powerful voice cuts through the hall, freezing everyone in place. It's Gu Xuanchen, who has arrived just in time. He stands amidst a terrifying golden aura, his powerful presence silencing the entire hall. Fixing his cold gaze on the enemy patriarch, he makes a solemn vow. Because of your actions, from this day forward, Anyang City will have no Ling family. The threat is delivered not as a shout, but as a calm, chilling statement of fact. For the invaders, it's a death sentence. For the despairing Gu clan, it is the sudden return of hope. Seeing her brother's timely arrival, Gu Yuhan cries out his name, tears of relief welling in her eyes. The loyal members of the Gu clan are ecstatic, shouting that their patriarch has finally returned to save them. Ling Shaoshan, however, is shocked. He senses Gu Xuanchen's immense power and realizes he's at the middle stage of the Sky Spirit realm, far stronger than anticipated. At that moment, a traitor from within the Gu clan, Gu Feng, steps forward. He tries to curry favor with the enemy, explaining to Patriarch Ling that Gu Xuanchen was only at the Little Spirit realm when he left. Expressing confusion at his sudden power, Gu Xuanchen's expression turns to ice. There is nothing he hates more than betrayal. With a chillingly calm voice, he says, "Traitor, found." Before the traitor or anyone else can react, Gu Xuanchen moves like a phantom. In a flash, he strikes Gu Feng down, executing him instantly for his treachery right in front of the Ling family patriarch. The Ling family soldiers, stunned by the sudden and brutal execution, instinctively move to shield their leader. Ling Shaoshan's face contorts with fury. Having his authority so blatantly challenged and a valuable informant executed before he could even use him is an intolerable insult. He roars at his men to back away, his voice filled with killing intent as he vows to torture Gu Xuanchen to death himself. Fueled by his rage, Ling Shaoshan lunges forward, drawing his large blade. In stark contrast to the patriarch's explosive fury, Gu Xuanchen remains perfectly composed. He meets the charge by calmly drawing his own sword, his eyes sharp and focused, ready to deliver his judgment. As Ling Shaoshan charges, Gu Xuanchen meets him head-on, unleashing one of his signature techniques from his past life, the Overlord Blade Art. The chapter ends as their immense power clashes, shaking the very foundations of the Gu family home. Following the Ling clan's invasion of the Gu family estate, the Ling patriarch himself attacks Gu Xuanchen, mocking his skills, but Gu Xuanchen effortlessly parries the blow. Unimpressed by the patriarch's so-called power, with swift and precise movements, Gu Xuanchen not only dodges the attack but also lands a powerful kick, sending the patriarch stumbling back in disgrace. Gu Xuanchen's eyes narrow with cold focus. He counters with his own blade, his expression revealing a calm and deadly precision that completely outclasses his opponent. The air rings with the sound of clashing steel as Gu Xuanchen's blade meets the patriarch's. Deflecting every single strike with contemptuous ease, the Ling patriarch's arrogance quickly turns to shock. He can't believe that his powerful strikes are being blocked so easily. As if they were child's play, he becomes increasingly bewildered as he finds himself defending against a whirlwind of cuts. Unable to comprehend the speed and sheer number of attacks coming from Gu Xuanchen, refusing to accept defeat, the enraged patriarch dismisses Gu Xuanchen's technique as mere trickery and prepares to unleash a killing blow. Roaring that he will take his life, but Gu Xuanchen has already decided to end the fight. He ascends into the air, his form cloaked in a new, menacing blue aura as he prepares to unleash a truly devastating technique. His entire aura shifts, becoming cold and otherworldly, with glowing eyes and a merciless smirk. He announces the name of the technique that will seal their fate, Distance Sword Art. The moment the words are spoken, an overwhelming storm of blue sword energy erupts from Gu Xuanchen. The loyal Ling family retainers who had charged forward to protect their patriarch are instantly vaporized, their bodies disintegrating into dust before the absolute and terrifying power of the technique. Watching from a safe distance, Gu Xuanchen's sister, Gu Yuhan, recognizes the technique. She is stunned, as the Distance Sword Art is a secret skill of the Xiaoyao sect, only taught to elders. She can't understand how her brother could have mastered it. Just moments before, the Ling family's most loyal retainers had bravely charged forward, determined to protect their patriarch and kill Gu Xuanchen, but their bravery was meaningless. The countless blades of light tore through their ranks, offering no chance for resistance or escape. The Ling patriarch, who was once so arrogant, is now consumed by terror. Stuttering in fear, he desperately tries to order a retreat, but his escape is cut short as Gu Xuanchen instantly appears before him. With a cold expression, he blocks the patriarch's path and asks, "Want to go?" A close-up on the patriarch's eye reveals the sheer terror of a man who knows he is about to die. Looking down on the pathetic man, Gu Xuanchen delivers his final verdict with a chilling smile. It's late. The sounds of swift, brutal combat echo from the estate as Gu Xuanchen finishes off the last of the invaders with merciless efficiency. In the immediate aftermath of the slaughter, long-awaited reinforcements finally arrive. Their leader, Mr. Qi of the Pill Pavilion, announces he has brought warriors to support the Gu family, expecting to join a desperate battle. However, Mr. Qi is stopped dead in his tracks. He stares in utter disbelief. Not at a battle, but at a graveyard. The entire invading army has already been defeated, and he is left to wonder who could have possibly done this. They look up to see Gu Xuanchen standing alone atop a mountain of defeated enemies. He casually remarks on the family's misfortune, his calm demeanor making the carnage even more shocking. From his vantage point, Gu Xuanchen looks down on the battlefield. Mr. Qi, still trying to process the scene, addresses him with a newfound respect and awe. Gu Xuanchen gives a confident, almost nonchalant smile, as if wiping out an entire clan was a trivial matter. Meanwhile, the traitorous members of the Gu family who had sided with the invaders are rounded up, their faces pale with terror as they realize the catastrophic mistake they've made. Mr. Qi reflects on the situation, amazed that after seeing the Gu family's distress signal, he arrived to find that Gu Xuanchen had single-handedly defeated the Ling family. Proving his martial prowess is just as monstrous as his alchemy skills. Snapping back to reality, Mr. Qi immediately orders his men to stop staring and help the injured Gu clansmen, offering them treatment at his Pill Pavilion. He makes a firm resolution in his heart. Young Master Gu is a formidable figure who hides his true power, and he must never be crossed. With the battle over, Gu Yuhan rushes to her brother's side, throwing herself into his arms and asking if he's hurt. He comforts her, saying he is fine, letting out a sigh of relief. Gu Yuhan leans against her brother's chest, momentarily feeling safe and secure after the horrific battle. However, the relief in her eyes quickly gives way to a sharp, probing gaze. She pulls back, her question not about his safety, but about a detail she observed during the fight. But brother, why did you use Xiaoyao sect's sword move when you beheaded the Ling family just now? Her questioning then turns into a jealous rage as she brings up another woman's name, Luo Shengshui, and angrily declares that she will never forgive him if he is still involved with her. Gu Xuanshen is left utterly speechless, completely clueless about the history of the body he now inhabits, ending his triumphant victory with a bewildering personal mystery.